Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. I got a little pep in my step this week. Bet you do too. You know why? Because the Patriots are 2-5. And 2-5 has long been not something to celebrate around here. But when you get an unexpected win against a team that's better than you, and that's the team you either cover or follow on a regular basis, sure, you're objective like a reporter ought to be. But it adds a little flavor to the week for you. It changes the tenor of the coverage. You can't keep kicking around in the dirt and being mopey. You can look towards some optimism, see what it means for this team. More than anything else, what it means is do it again. You got to do it again, because what happened Sunday against the Buffalo Bills was an indicator of what I thought the Patriots were capable all year. And when I saw them play Philadelphia and outplay Philadelphia, I thought I had, another good indicator that they had it in them. And then the following week, when they, fell behind as they do, but came back against Miami, said they have it in them. And then the rest of the month and the early part of October happened, and they became the worst team in the league. So when you get a win against the team that's better than you, regardless of how much water the Buffalo Bills are taking on, getting to 2-5 when you didn't expect to get to 2-5 against a team like that, in a way, doesn't it spark even more enthusiasm than some of those divisional playoff wins? I'm not saying AFC Championship game wins, but like even you blast San Diego 41-28 Chargers in the 2018 playoffs. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen. Nobody knew Sunday was going to happen. 37-13. That was my predicted score. All right. So what are we going to do? We're going to look forward. We're going to look at the Miami Dolphins. We're going to talk to Omar Kelly. He's been covering the Dolphins for a long, long time and does an excellent job of it. So we're going to grab him in here. And when Omar gets here, please remember he's brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Of course, we're going to have Phil Perry in as well to discuss a little bit about Bill Belichick's contract, try to make sense of where that's headed and why the reporting has sounded the way that it has from Ian Rappaport. And we'll look forward to the Dolphins in the matchup and whether or not they're vulnerable. Let's get into that right now, though, with Omar Kelly. Here he is, Omar Kelly. Omar, suddenly you got a New England Patriots fan base that is riding high, and they're looking at Miami, and they're actually licking their chops. A team that put up 70 in week 2 against the Patriots team that lost 34-0 to the Saints. And people are going, you know what? I think I can take this guy.
All of a sudden, you beat one team and you get all high and mighty about yourself, and you find out your head coach, the legend, has got a contract extension, and you're all confident, huh, Patriots fans? Yeah. It will be an interesting game from the standpoint. Miami's coming off a low, having lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. Hell, they just found out they're the Hard Knocks team by force. So now they're going to have the intrusion into their locker room, probably starting next week as they prepare to go to Germany. But this is a game where they got to get locked in. They got to get focused. They know it's a division opponent. They know they have to take care of business. They already beat the Patriots. Nobody's scared of Mac Jones. And really, this team is basically trying to lick their wounds, trying to get right again.
And they got problems in the most significant spot. Nobody's scared of Mac Jones because Mac Jones has put a litany of tape out there in 2023, showing that if he's not protected, he's cooked. Miami against Philadelphia, down 3 offensive linemen really on the left-hand side. They got carved up. Tua had a good game despite the pressure, mostly a good game. But you got to look at what can happen, and this is what Mac Jones has been experiencing, brings you down a level if you can't stand there and throw.
Yeah, absolutely. The left side of the offensive line is going to be filled with nothing but backups. They lost Isaiah Wynn to a quadriceps injury that will probably last a couple of weeks. So now you got a backup at left tackle, a backup at left guard, and then a backup at center. Now there's a possibility that Connor Williams can come back from his growing strain. They're trying to take it easy on him to make sure that he's good for the second half of the season. But if he does return, that'll help them because it'll move Liam Eichenberg out of that center spot and potentially put him back to left guard where he was a starter last season. But right now they feel like Lester Cotton can do better than he performed against the Eagles. And let's be honest,
he's got
to have the best defensive line in the NFL. They were going to beat Miami in the trenches, no matter who was out there on the offensive line. So the question is, can the Patriots get that type of pressure? And how much will Bill Belichick attack that left side? Because he's a game plan specific coach. I was amazed at his 3 safety choice to defend the Dolphins wide receivers, and nobody has replicated it. Nobody has built on it.
No,
I guess it was a phenomenal strategy.
That's what I was thinking about and that's why they have so many safeties. He went into the season saying, we're just going to have a whole bunch of hybrids. There's hybrid linebacker safeties. There's hybrid corner safeties. So Jalen Mills being one of the latter, guys like Marte Mapu and really even Jabril Peppers being the former. But they're going to be without Christian Gonzalez. So that's going to be a player who, even in his second game, was able to keep some pace with Tyreek Hill.
Pulled down an interception. He really had an impressive play. Obviously the Patriots are depleted. You know that. Losing Judon, losing Gonzalez. It'll be interesting to see what challenges they can present to Miami's offense, especially when it comes to the run game, because I think the Dolphins, they really were disappointing from what they did in the run game against the Eagles, and they'll probably be looking to have a resurgent rushing attack, especially at home.
And the speed of Miami is what sets it apart. I mean, forget Tyreek Hill. We all understand that Jalen Waddle might have a little bit of a back issue, but Raheem Mostert is, to me, just an absolute weapon, for lack of a better and trite word these days, because he is so ridiculously fast. And the Patriots have experienced it. They experienced it in the first game this year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they experienced it a couple of years ago when Mostert was in San Francisco and he ran wild with them and the rest of the San Francisco 49ers in a game quarterbacked by Jimmy Garoppolo. The speed. So that's why I love the Patriots' strategy against Miami. It's like, okay, they're faster than us. Everybody back. And when you get Tyreek Hill in front of you, stand in front of him. Don't move. Do not attack. I think they actually have a plan. Miami's going to get its 20 at least. Could get, 24 to 28. Can the Patriots, who had not broken 20 this season and suddenly did on Sunday, with the kind of performance idiots like me said that they were capable of, if they just didn't riddle their own feet with bullets, can the Patriots get to 20 against Miami?
Yeah, I think they can. From the standpoint, the Dolphins haven't really found their synergy on defense. I honestly think the Eagles game might have been the best performance that they've had all season, and they allowed 31 points. But they were playing well. They were aggressive on the front line. They really harassed Jalen Hurts, couldn't get him down. But when you squat 650, it's hard to get a guy down.
It's unbelievable, that play.
Yeah. Oh no, that tush push is quite an incredible play. They had four successful drives continued and a touchdown because of the tush push. But to me, it comes down to, can you exploit Miami in the passing game? Because obviously you're going to have to keep pace with them from a scoring standpoint. They are going to probably have Xavier Howard back. He didn't want to sit out that game, but Mike McDaniels has created a firm policy. Growing strain means you sit a week. Mm-hmm. And so Xavier had to sit out against the Eagles. And there's a possibility that Jalen Ramsey will be coming back from his meniscus injury against the Patriots. They practiced him last week. He was on the scout team. This week, he'll be elevated to the defense. If he plays well and performs well, he will be in the lineup. And his plan is to be back for Kansas City. He might be back a week early for those New England Patriots.
Omar, if you're in the stadium on Sunday, make sure you watch during warmups how the New England Patriots coaching staff will line up at the 50 and watch Miami's warmups. That used to be an Ernie Adams job for the Patriots. He would turn and just stand there with his arms crossed at the 50-yard line and watch every player for the other team to try and gather intel on who can move and who can't. And it's an interesting thing to watch. So they'll be watching Ramsey. They'll be watching Xavier Howard. The Patriots, in trying to be more explosive last week, they employed a guy named Demario Douglas, who's a rookie, and he is completely an anomaly in the Patriots offense. He's short, fast, short-handed, and ridiculously quick. So this offense was better than it had been the first time Miami saw it.
It'll be interesting to see whether or not Gesicki and Devontae Parker can be factors in this game.
Devontae Parker is on ice, I think. I mean, he had one target in the fourth quarter the other day.
Welcome to life with Devontae Parker. I'm sure he's got some injury on the injury report.
He had a drop. You probably saw the drop. Did you see the drop 2 weeks ago?
I didn't. No.
All right. Mac Jones hit him right square in the hands during a horrendous game against the Raiders. They had one last chance, and Mac threw a 45-yard lob. The rarely seen accurate downfield throw that hit Devontae in the hands fell out. The Patriots took a safety. They lose. Raiders cover thanks to the safety, leaving New England bettors very sad. And he's been unbelievably ineffective and invisible. And after the game, he basically said, "Yeah, well, what'd you see? Yeah, might have hit my hands. Might have hit my fingers," he said. So he's been a weird guy to deal with in some ways.
He's always going to be a weird guy to deal with. And Mike Gesicki and his grit, that's something that Dolphin fans will be very opposed to seeing in their end zone. Mike Gesicki is a player where I'm hopeful that the Dolphins will figure out a way to contain him, because they've only seen him in practice for the last 5 years previous to him signing with New England. So
I mean, he's a complimentary guy. I mean, if in all his time here in New England, if he has more than 35 catches, I'll be surprised. But be complimentary and be a 35 catch, 12 plus yard per catch guy, and catch the ball when it's thrown to you, which he generally has done. They just haven't hit their stride. Let me ask you this: when you look at the two losses that Miami has had against Philadelphia and against the Bills, the Patriots were more competitive against Philadelphia in the opener, and they beat the Bills.
Yeah.
Ipso facto, Patriots better than Miami.
Skill-wise, no, because I don't think
they're not. They're not.
I don't think you have a skilled player that would start for Miami in any position.
No,
maybe you're better in the trenches.
No, they're not. They're not. I guess my question is, this isn't even, is the gap smaller? The question is more this, Omar. Is Miami kind of going through the ebbs and flows of a season? You start great. The September hero always has to come back to earth a little bit and refine itself.
I think they can't beat the elite teams on the road. And I think that this offense doesn't travel well. They do a lot of motions, a lot of shifting, a lot of timing stuff with the jet sweeps and stuff like that. And when you have to go to a silent count, the rhythm of it can be kind of off. And I'm seeing, it's a hostile environment. There's crowd noise. You got to go to a silent count. But Tua can't be out there communicating with his guys the way that he usually does at home. That's why you've seen them blow teams out at home, other than the heat and humidity in South Florida. They've blown teams out at home, but then they've struggled on the road. I think the most competitive games that they played this season on the road was New England. I mean, that was a fourth quarter game.
Yep.
I know the season opener against Chargers was a competitive game, but that you've been to the Chargers. They don't have home field advantage. That crowd was probably 40%, if not 50% Dolphin fans. So I think these hostile environments against physical teams that can beat them up in the trenches, which Buffalo's got a top 5 defensive line. The Eagles have a top 5 defensive line. I think those are where they face their greatest challenges.
All right. I did a podcast with you. We've been going back and forth. We love doing this when the Patriots and Dolphins play. And in that podcast early in the season,
it's a lot better when you're not a juggernaut, just by the way.
No. I mean, I was sitting pretty for 20 years, Dolphins fans. I mean, just point at the quarterback and go,
you shoo us away like
you guys aren't even watching football down there. Don't tell me what I don't know. So I led with my chin on a podcast with you when your friend Alan asked me a little bit about Mac Jones. I said, I don't think there's a big difference between Mac and Tua. I said, I actually think Mac's better than Tua. And your eyes shot out of your head. And Alan did one of those. And I went on to kind of, tepidly make my case.
Yeah.
Then Miami beat the Patriots. Then Miami scored 70. Then Miami just stampeded through the league. And 2-on got on me good. Now I'm going back on your podcast today.
Listen, you got to fear 2-on, brother. That thing is, they are the most forceful power in the NFL.
But what about the life preserver I got thrown on Sunday?
Listen.
I got thrown a life preserver.
You did. You did. Listen, Mac Jones, I don't understand. And we talked about this previously. I think Bill Belichick, the GM, is going to get Bill Belichick, the head coach, fired eventually. How you can't give Mac Jones more? You got to coddle quarterbacks.
Protect him. That's it. Start with the offensive line.
You got to coddle quarterbacks. Get him some weapons. Protect him, and then we can see what he can become. I don't think Mac Jones is trash. I don't think he's got weapons around him. I don't think he's got help around him. And that, at least he has an offensive coordinator this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the question is, can he do enough to sustain drives and be efficient on third downs and score in the red zone? And I think he is a quarterback that can do that. But with what weapons though?
Obviously, Tua is having a better year. I just
Yes.
caught that little fruit fly that was zipping around here. Obviously, Tua is having a better year. Obviously, Tua is going to be in the MVP conversation. Obviously, Tua is going to be a Pro Bowler. Is he still leading the league in touchdown passes? 15?
Don't
worry about it. Who cares?
They were so drastically. Yeah.
He's having a great year. No one cares who's leading after week 8. Let's do it again. If Tua was here and Mac was there, what would Miami's record be? What would the Patriots' record be?
I think they're completely. I think Tua is a better quarterback.
I
think Mac Jones held his clipboard at Alabama, and so did Jalen Hurts. I think that the accuracy, the timing, the precision passing, the pocket presence, the quick release, the ability to diagnose defenses, all of those things. And everybody will say, oh, he's made by his weapons. He was a winning quarterback before he got Tyreek, even though he had no weapons. Yes,
but here's the cool thing, because I was smart enough to do research last week. This is fun. It's a really cool stat but it makes the point. The number of games in which Tua was over 8 yards per attempt,
mm-hmm.
I don't think he really had any. I would have to look at it again. It was like 2 in his first 2 years in the league.
Oh,
and now when he's over, if he's under 10, it's surprising. And it
no doubt
coincides with the present Tyreek. Now, I will say this, for people who are all into quarterback stats, yards per attempt continues to be the best indicator of a good quarterback. 7 is good. 8 is outstanding. Tua is generally over 7 all the time. I think he was 5 the other day. But that's as a passing quarterback.
I'm interested that you said that, because I have never thought about it, but it's a really good indicator. I also like third down efficiency, third down passer rating. I think that third down passer rating.
That's huge. Third down, red zone, situational stuff. And how efficient are you?
The big boy pros.
You know who told me the yards per attempt?
Who?
Will McDonough.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him. He was
yes, absolutely.
Okay. So he said that to me in probably 1998. When I was just starting in the league. Yeah, the only stat these teams should worry about is yards per attempt. That's what the good GMs. I mean, he was a fascinating character. But he's right. When you look at it, yards per attempt, 6 is 5 sucks. I don't even know what Mac's at right now.
Mac's at 6.4. I've actually got it up. 6.4. And that's completion percentage is pretty decent, 66%.
Yeah, but that's David Carr. I used to think, well, look at the completion percentage on David Carr. He's completing 70% of his passes. Yep. And he's throwing for 212 every friggin' week. Yards per attempt. It's just, So That was Houston. I'm not making a mistake. It was David Carr.
Yeah.
So I got to let you go because we're going to be podding in 20. I'm going to bring my guy Phil Perry in to round out my pod, and I have to go back and face the music with you in 20 minutes. Thank God the music will be toned down and I can actually make an argument against you guys.
Hey, you're not gonna. It's not us you got to worry about. It's
oh yeah.
Well, response.
No, it's the cutting that your people are going to do and the stuff that you're going to share on social media. Look at this pasty bastard from Boston trying to say.
Hey, you're a New Englander. Pasty comes with the territory, my friend.
100%. You're great. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right. Talk to you later, Tom.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/NSBO and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and present in Mass. Hope is here. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com, gambling helpline ma.org, or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234. All right, we're going to bring in the Senator Phil Perry. Phil, before we get to you, let's hear what Bill O'Brien, Patriots offensive coordinator, had to say Tuesday when asked about Mac Jones' performance against Buffalo.
Look, I think he did a really good job, and he's only a third-year player. You're not talking about a guy that's been around for 12 years. I mean, he's been around for 3 years and not even 3 yet, and so every game is a learning situation for him, and certainly he has a lot of experience relative to his rookie year and last year and those things. But he's still a young player, and I think the guys around him did a great job, and I think that's really, really important. That it is, like you said in the beginning, it's very much of a team game, and we dealt with some adversity in the game as a team, and we were able to come back. And he's the quarterback. He got us into the right plays on that last drive and did a really nice job. And the guys around him did a really nice job. Whether it was, the receivers, the tight ends, the backs, Ramondre, Hunter, Pop Douglas, Kendrick Bourne, whatever it was, the line up front. You can't do anything without the line up front. So everybody working together. And, I think that was it was good for our team to do that. And now this week's a different game, and we got to get ready for this game.
All right, Phil, that's a sign of too much salt usage over the course of my lifetime when I can't even remember 2 days ago who they played. But talk to me about Mac Jones' performance on Sunday and how sustainable do you think it is?
The sustainability question is interesting to me because if he can have the personnel around him that is the right kind of personnel, then I do think it's relatively sustainable. And the reason why I hesitate a little bit and I drop that relatively qualifier in there so smoothly is because, Tom, he has had moments where he has, as an individual, imploded. Now, what has led to those moments, I think, has been because he doesn't trust what's in front of him. He doesn't trust the targets that he has to throw to at times. You lose confidence. You play like a player who has lost confidence. You start looking at the rush and you make bad decisions. It is one domino after the next in this football circle of hell. But did he get enough in the way of confidence in this one game, in one drive, really? And I think sometimes that's all it takes to start at least getting you moving in the right direction, combined with the right personnel to be a better player. I really think that is within the realm of possibility.
What's interesting is the Patriots did trail in this game, and they did need to come back. But for the lion's share of the game, they led. So it narrowed the span of time in which Mac could screw up. I do think that when they do fall behind by double digits early in the game, he does say, I have to make something happen now because we might do something stupid and allow more points, or I might do something. I think the early deficits would prey on his mind and make him press even more. Whereas certainly he was pressing late in this game, but because he had played capably leading into that and he wasn't a part of the stupidity, which he had been previously, he could play with confidence on that drive. So, all that said, do you have more confidence that he can play from behind and with adversity than he's shown?
I think it's an important distinction that you make because, in my opinion, one of the reasons they were as effective as they were offensively, even beyond that final drive, I mean, he averaged 9 yards per pass attempt. To me, the reason you're able to have that kind of full game performance, even though it clearly wasn't perfect, is because the score is within a certain margin. You're playing with the lead for a good chunk of this game. You're able to play under center. You're able to be balanced, something I asked Bill O'Brien about today. You're able to use play action. You know, he had a 113.7 quarterback rating when using play action. And it wasn't like they used it extensively. Tommy only had 7 play action attempts, but you pick up 90 yards on those play action attempts for almost 13 yards per pass on those. It's just because the playbook is opened up to you in a way that it really hadn't been all year. You start to see, okay, this is what Bill O'Brien had in mind for Mac Jones. And maybe that, again, maybe we're looking too closely at the last drive as being the confidence driver when it might have been the first 3 quarters. And that allows him to play the way he needed to when they were behind at the very end of the game. And now you've got this, oh my God, it's this overflowing dose of bravado that might result from this last drive. And that's probably overdoing it because he's got this breadth of work that wasn't all that impressive. But maybe the early portion of the game was more of a confidence driver that I'm giving him credit for and allowed him to play the way he did when he was behind.
I put out a poll for Quick Slants tonight at 6:00. For those of you listening, you can tune in and see this poll. But the question I asked is, how did Sunday's win, or how will Sunday's win impact the Patriots season? Put out 3, and 1 was it changes everything. 2 was ask me after Miami, and 3 was they still stink. I actually think it changes everything. And that is the lowest vote getter right now in the poll. The reason it changes everything is it validates what they're capable of. They could say, yeah, we played really good against Philadelphia. We played pretty good against Miami. And all that stuff. We played good for a chunk of the game against the Jets. But that was washed away by the following 3 games, New Orleans, Dallas, and the Raiders. But now they can get back to what they were. Now they can see what they would have done had they not screwed up against Philadelphia or against the Miami Dolphins in the first time around. So I think it changes the conversation around Mac. We don't have to talk about Malik Cunningham. It changes their approach to the season in some ways because they finally pulled a lever that worked. It changes the conversation around Bill. And if you look at the Patriots, and I don't think that we can use it, John, if we can, let's run it. If we can't, you're not going to hear it here, folks. But the Patriots post-game conversation from Bill Belichick was really telling in let's not act like we've arrived. And that's going to be important going into Miami, I think, because they can feel unbelievably good about this win because it wasn't lightning in a bottle, in my estimation. It's who they should be. But they can't act as if doing everything correctly means that they're going to go out and shoot 75 again. Another golf reference.
Great job. Good week of preparation. Played our best when it counted most. All right. It's a good football team. All right. Look, don't feel like we've arrived, okay? Because we got to tee it up, do it all over again this week. Yep. Okay. But we know what we got to do, and we know how we got to do it. We can do it better. So we can do it better. That's a hell of a job this week, fellas. That's the way to believe in yourselves. That's the way to stick together. All right. And that's the way to compete for 60 minutes. Yep. 60 minutes. Great job.
Here's where I disagree with you. I'm not sure it's what they should be. In theory, it is. But how frequently are they going to be able to get out to 10-point leads in games? I think there's enough evidence to suggest that that's just not who they are.
Yeah. The other quarterback throws it to him on the first snap.
First play. I mean, you're gifting them good field position. Again, you're allowing them to do what they want to do offensively. Now, maybe they can get everything cleaned up moving forward in a way that they did against the Bills. You know, this run the ball under center, use play action, use your heavy personnel, all the stuff that we saw on Sunday was exactly what they wanted to do against Vegas the week before, but they couldn't, because the first 2 plays of the game, they get penalized. They're back behind the sticks. They've got to spread it out. They've got to throw it. They become predictable. They get down. They become even more predictable, and it starts rolling downhill on them in a negative fashion. And so, yes, when the circumstances are perfect, scratch that. They don't have to be perfect. But when the circumstances are in their favor, this is who they can be. I'm just not sure they have the ability to overcome the inevitable adverse circumstances that they'll be faced with the rest of this season, because they've shown to us, that when they do hit adversity, mid-game adversity, until the last drive of this past game, that it usually doesn't go well for them.
Yeah, they have a tendency to make a bad situation worse. Miami, interestingly, has the easiest schedule in the NFL, or 30th easiest schedule so far. Patriots have played the most difficult schedule in the NFL. Talked to Omar Kelly, and he made a really good observation about why Miami has lost the games that they have. They were both on the road, and their offense doesn't travel well because of communication being impaired a bit. Have to do so much motion, have to do so much pre-snap communication. It limits them a little bit. And both of the teams they lost to, Buffalo and the Eagles, Buffalo with a full complement on its defensive front, were able to impact the Miami offense. All this is a long way of saying you're probably not going to get the Miami team that we saw Sunday night against the Eagles. The Patriots don't have the tush-push play, which was instrumental in winning on Sunday night for Philadelphia. And it's going to be hot as balls. So it's not a great recipe for the Patriots to get that fast start and not play from behind for a period of time, because Miami should be favored by, well, I wonder what the line is. It should be 5 or 6.
I don't know what it is right now either, but I agree. They should be favored. And that point about the crowd noise is an interesting one, because it makes sense that they have to use a lot of pre-snap communication. I've said, that this has got to be a pretty smart team, pretty smart offense to be able to do all the different things that they can do, because, there are reasons why some teams don't want to use motion. It's because you can screw yourselves up. Never mind what it does to the defense. Yeah, there are a lot of quarterbacks who want to just see the picture as it is, not ask their guys to do a whole lot before the snap so that everybody can see it the same way. You can all make your mid-play adjustments as they need to be made, and you move forward that way. Peyton Manning is famous for never wanting motions or shifts. He just wanted the picture the way the picture looked and go about your business. So will be interesting to see if they're a much different team at home against what I still think is a good but not great, because they're missing their 2 really good players, Matt Judon and Christian Gonzalez. I'm not sure. Have they faced a defense like the Patriots, Tom, at home yet this season? That's something that I'll have to look at when it comes to their schedule.
Carolina, Denver, these are the teams that they've beaten. Carolina, Denver.
Indy,
did they beat Indy? All right, we're back. I just called a 20-second timeout because I should have had this up already. They've beaten the Chargers at LA, which, as Omar pointed out, that was more than half of the stadium was filled with Miami fans. They beat the Broncos by 50 at home. They beat the Giants by 15 at home. They beat the Panthers by 21 at home. Now they have the Patriots.
So they have not, in my opinion, played a good defense at home yet. Nope. So that's another wrinkle, right? So we'll see what that looks like for them. I think the Patriots will have to go into this with a game plan that's relatively similar to last time, Tom, that 3 deep safety thing that made them look like a Big 12 defense. Do they do that again because they fear giving up the 50-yard touchdown that gets them behind and puts them in one of these bad situations? I'm wondering if we don't just see the same thing from them. The
Have to.
Eagles played a lot of cover too, so they played a lot of coverage as well, but their front is probably better than the Patriots right now with some of the injuries New England's dealing with.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be near as close to the line of scrimmage as they were on some plays. You know, the one that Tyreek Hill split James Bradbury and whoever the safety was, and just ran past them. They're not going to allow that to happen, I would presume, even though they're going to intend to not allow that to happen. But Tyreek Hill can make that happen. Our friends at FanDuel, meanwhile, according to Skull Crusher, have the Patriots at plus 9.5. That makes more sense than 5. Tom, let's not get ridiculous. Just because the Patriots had a good game on Sunday, they're not a 2-point underdog on a neutral field. But I do think Miami is a little bit of a paper tiger. I really do. So we're going to get into this a little bit more during the week. But for now, Phil, we got to get ready for Quick Slants at 6 o'clock because you're co-hosting, and I sent you. We have a senatorial briefing, so now you have to put something together for the program.
I think I'll be able to come up with something. I usually am not at a loss for words. It's just a question of whether or not those words make sense.
Well, in the moment, they always do.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Talk to you on Thursday.
Outside of the moment is my problem.
Yeah. We'll talk to you on Thursday, folks.